Hello, my name's Nicola Charles and I have questions for Australian parents. Australian mums and dads, who are you and where are you? There is an active attack on not just your children's freedoms, but also their ability to learn. What I consider to be happening is abuse 101. And the number one thing that is attempted when you are seeking to abuse a child is isolation. I know this from personal and professional experience. Isolating a child from another person, isolating a child from information and facts. Isn't this why we have fact checkers? And isolating children from the truth is extremely dangerous because young minds then grow up collating the wrong information, in fact, misinformation and disinformation as reality when it's not. Now, a few things have happened and been brought to my attention in the last few months through the US election and also what we've just experienced through this engineered pandemic. What was it Jacinda Ardern, now Dame Jacinda Ardern, said during the pandemic to Kiwis, to New Zealanders? She said the government would be your single source of truth.
I've been watching for some days, and this is not unique to New Zealand, that in the midst of what is a global issue, as you would expect, there are a number of rumours that circulate. I am present on social media, I see it myself. I cannot go around and individually dismiss every single rumour I see on social media, as tempted as I might be. So instead I want to send a clear message to the New Zealand public. We will share with you the most up-to-date information daily. You can trust us as a source of that information. You can also trust the Director General of Health and the Ministry of Health. For that information, do feel free to visit at any time to clarify any rumour you may hear, covid19.govt.nz. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth.
It was so dystopian, it's been shared millions and millions of times. What did Kamala Harris say and do when she was a prosecutor with regard to mums and dads? It was an inconvenient truth, a clip that came out during the campaigning phase of the US election. It was revealed in her own words via a speech that she delivered that she sought to actively prosecute the parents of children who played truant, and in fact she did manage to criminalise the parents of children who played truant. She used phrases like, "Oh, it just took a stroke of my pen."
I would not be standing here were it not for the education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my re-election race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did. We recognized that in that initiative, as a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. The school district has got a carrot. Let's work in tandem around our collective objective and goal, which is to get those kids in school. So, to that end, on my letterhead, now let me tell you something about my letterhead. When you're the DA of a major city in this country, usually the job comes with a badge. And there is often an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district, outlining the connection that was statistically proven between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, who will become a victim of crime, and who will become a perpetrator of crime. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
Because these people want your children in school. Now, a friend of mine sent me the other day, and I shared it, and I'll share it again with this clip. They went on to government-approved mainstream media site news.com.au. I don't recommend you go there. And to check finance news to see if the Trump election would affect inflation and finance in Australia. And over to the left, you can clearly see, quite prominent, are two very attractive young blonde girls holding dildos, offering 75% off sex toys on your government-approved mainstream media. Now, what is being attempted here with these misinformation and disinformation bills and the ban on under 16s on social media is basically raising a generation of children who can't think for themselves. Now, when governments want to use that age group to accelerate an agenda or bring in a change in bills and laws, they're happy to use an individual like Greta Thunberg, who as a teenager herself helped apparently shape global energy policy. They also said during the pandemic, the federal Australian government, that 5-year-olds and up could decide for themselves, without parents getting involved, that they could become a medical experiment and receive an mRNA injection. Now, they are also seeking for 5-year-olds and up to be able to undergo gender-affirming surgeries and hormone treatments, again, without parental consent. In fact, it can be considered abuse if parents object to it. So this is moving you, parents, out of the equation, and isolation is how they're going to do it. Now, children mostly look at gaming stuff online, but they're not seeking to remove sites like Discord where children are able to share pornographic images. No, they're seeking to remove the sites that are heavily censored from their lives, like X and Instagram and Facebook, which are not only heavily censored, and I, again, know this from personal experience, but they're also fact-checked. We all know about the fact-checkers. So now we can't trust the fact-checkers to tell our children that, oops, something's wrong in this post. No, they want them off those sites because then they will get outside information, outside truth, logic, fairness, the law, the Constitution, and that's not what they want. They want to criminalize children who don't go to school, at least their parents. They want to make sure that government curriculums are the single source of truth. This is all dangerous. This is all isolation of children, which I consider to be abuse 101. Yes, there's the other side effect that adults have to identify themselves on social media. Don't think for a second that a government department like ACO won't contact your employer, your place of work, and claim you're a dangerous person because you said something that was anti-government or didn't agree with a policy. That happened to me on YouTube when I got banned for life in April 2020 for saying health passports on phones were coming in. It was true, but YouTube banned me and said I was a dangerous person. How are you adults going to feel? Is that the only time you're going to stand up? When this affects your employment? When you're shut down because your employer gives you an official warning and says if we find out that you've posted against the government again online, you're fired? These are our kids. These are our children. We cannot allow them to only access truth that is approved by the federal government that come along with discounted dildos. We need our children to grow in a free and fair and logical environment. And that takes you parents to stand up. And I don't see any parents standing up. Come on, Australia. This is all a giant plan that you'll be criminalized if your children don't go to school to absorb their government curriculum. They will be their single source of truth. Can you not see what's happening here? Australian parents, it is time to stand up. This is your duty to protect your young.
When you're ready to rise up, you'll rise up. All the power you need is in your hands. Our financial systems have been hijacked by a generation of thieves. While you're working harder and harder for less and less, the game is being rigged against you. They're turning all of us into virtual slaves. Looters, at the heart of our financial system, are price-fixing our most precious resources. Food, water, energy, gold, even the value of money itself is being siphoned away by high-level crooks in a giant mushrooming conspiracy of unstoppable corruption. They're robbing billions of people of trillions of dollars a year, folks. There is no need for austerity measures. There is no need for financial suffering. No need for poverty. There is no scarcity. We are simply the victims of a robbery of unimaginable proportions. We have been fed a lie so vast it oppresses all of humanity. The truth is, there is more than enough to go around. 60 years ago, productivity was increasing so fast, they predicted by today, entire families could live comfortably on the income of just one provider working only 10 hours a week. They wondered what we'd do with all of our spare time. What happened to that dream? Turns out they were right. What took a full work week back then can be done in just 10 hours today. We have technologies that multiply our efforts 1,000-fold and connect us in ways they never imagined. We are now 100 times richer than in that great heyday of the 50s. We are heirs to a great bounty of prosperity, $70 trillion in the U.S. alone, over $200,000 for every man, woman, and child. The only reason we don't experience this wealth is because it's being siphoned away by a corrupt criminal class. They loot through giant corporations, raising prices, lowering wages, stealing the fruits of our productivity. Where once whole families prospered with just one provider, now both parents work, delivering 8 times the productivity but struggling to make ends meet. They control the media using hot-button social issues to divide us, brother against brother, so we fight each other while they loot our sacred institutions. They make us fear too big to fail banks collapsing, but if they did, we'd suddenly recover the 8 times our income that's being siphoned away every single day. Don't give yourselves to these crooks who abuse you and enslave you, who steal your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Let us burn these leeches off our backs. Let us replace their corrupt systems with better systems that benefit everyone. Let us reclaim the fruits of our productivity. Let us share our prosperity. We can do this now. We are the creators, and when we come together, we have the power to create whatever future we want.